to talk in detail about the military capabilities, Shashank Joshi, Associate Fellow at the Defence think tank RUSI. Thank you for joining us. Good morning. It does appear that he's still got some air power, and these discussions about trying to impose a no-fly zone.
Certainly, first of all, this is an important development because we've seen him use air power so far only against arms depots, water pipelines, etc., not so much against advancing forces. If he is indeed attacking personnel, massed forces, that represents a significant escalation and could actually complicate opposition efforts to move between cities they hold. It's one thing to defend cities, it's another to defend yourself from air power when you're moving between them.
Looking at what we've seen in the pictures we've received so far, it appears to be flatbed trucks, Toyota four-wheel drives with anti-aircraft guns mounted on the back.
The opposition do have some anti-aircraft guns. They've seized these from defecting army units in the east. They know how to use them because you have defected army personnel, air force personnel. But these are limited. Jets fly at a very high altitude. They fly very fast and so can evade this kind of fire. In the east, they've been moderately effective, missed many of their targets. Yeah. But against pickup trucks, against personnel, they can be very, very effective indeed if used properly.
Well, we've seen one of these guns being fired by, we think perhaps, as you say, some elements of the military have gone over, but many other civilians. I mean, it is a bit of a ragtag operation, it seems, at the moment.
Absolutely. It's very much a ragtag operation. You may have thousands of men, but you have very little unified military organisation. You don't have the very best equipment, and you have very few tanks, very few jets. They haven't used any jets so far. Now, we have heard a story this morning about the potential capture of SAS members in eastern Libya. If that is indeed correct, then it indicates the Western powers are reaching out and offering some degree of support to the opposition, which may slowly consolidate their capabilities.
Although there's no suggestion at the moment those special forces were there with that remit, that it was maybe just a close protection.
It's pure speculation, but even if they were using diplomats, it still indicates a level of support.
But what about your reflection on Zawiya, what happened there, that this was supposed to be one of the elite units attached to one of Gaddafi's sons, and they failed. They were beaten back by the townspeople. Of course,
and not just once, but several times we've seen them beaten back, go in, go out. Now, some of their retreats have been tactical. They haven't been forced out in some cases. But it does tell you just how difficult, even with elite units, even with snipers, tanks, air power, just how tough it is to breach urban defensive lines. We should know this, having fought in Iraq for so many years, just how difficult that task is.
That would be the same for any rebel forces wanting to go into Sirte or into Tripoli itself.
Absolutely. The difficulty of the offensive is on both sides, and it's particularly so for the opposition who lack mechanised transport, mobile artillery, all of these things you need to move thousands of men 1,000 kilometres to the west from Benghazi to Tripoli.
So that's the equipment. What about the personnel, the men that Gaddafi can count on? Because it does seem an awful lot of them are mercenaries. If they decide the game is no longer worth their shilling, that could turn the table somewhat.
Of course, they're not ideologically committed here, so they're not going to switch because of their sudden repulsion for Gaddafi, but they may switch if they stop getting paid. And with increasing numbers of oil installations in rebel hands, they've held the town of Ras Lanuf, it appears, over the weekend. If that's correct, what that means is Gaddafi may not have the funds to continue that mercenary army, which would limit his capabilities.
Thank you very much indeed for your analysis, and we'll see you again soon. Thanks for coming in. But let's head back live to Westminster now.